Today we have visitors. Hey, Malachi. Malachi, who is it that's visiting? Who is visiting today, mister?
Oh, I go visit my show.
No, but who is that? No, hey, dude, who is that right there? Who's that? And who's that? Perfect. Good job.
You got a belt?
You got a belt? I was wondering why the belt was on the floor. You must have grabbed it down from the wall. No, you're supposed to be shooting at Uncle Eric. He's shooting at you. Defend yourself. Now, don't actually hit him. Just at him. It's play. Pretend. All right. So, I want to go ahead and let y'all know what's been going on. We've had a kind of rough week. Well, I mean, the last half of the week has been okay since Thursday. But Gigi Dorsey, so my grandmother, and the kids' great-grandmother, who we clean the house for and visited at least once a month, she passed away on Monday, and she had a long life. She was 92, made it to her birthday. So, but even though we were expecting it and knew it was coming soon just because of how things have been recently, we weren't expecting it to go quite as fast as it did. But God has his reasons for things, so she is now with her husband in heaven and with her Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and so I know that she is thrilled. It took me a little while just to, you know, even though I knew the change was coming, just to be able to accept the change that, okay, now it's happened. Now we won't be able to see Gigi anymore and talk with her. We won't be going over there once a month. And while we were kind of excited about the possible transition to her having someone to care for her on a more regular basis so that all of her needs were being met, and so that we could have the flexibility and freedom to just go visit her like on a whim for a couple of hours instead of having to do a day-long working day and not really getting to spend the quality time with her that I would have preferred. Even though we were there with her, but just, you know, we didn't, because we were cleaning and doing grocery shopping and all that kind of stuff, we didn't get to like sit and talk with her as much. So I was looking forward to being able to transition back to more of a leisurely visiting time, but that just wasn't to be, which is okay because since my grandmother on my dad's side passed away, I think that was like 7 or 8 years ago, I made a conscious effort to try to grow closer to Grandma Dortha before she passed because I wanted to make the most of that time. And I feel that we did. I mean, could we have done better? Obviously, yes. But life gets busy, especially when you've got a homestead and little kids. So, you know, I also have to give myself some grace there. But I feel very blessed and fortunate that I was able to get to know my grandmother so well, because I did get to do that with my grandmother on my dad's side of the family because I lived with her for 2 years while I was going to college. So anyway, yeah, that's what's going on now. And Gwen, she doesn't really understand. Like, she was just recently, like mostly in the past visit, starting to call her Gigi, but I don't know that she'll remember her. Malachi, however, I'm pretty certain will, and I know it's affected him, but he hasn't cried yet, but he is processing. It's going to sound weird, but we had the fortunate event, and I believe it was God-inspired, that one of our cats who had gone missing for a couple of days last week, he apparently got hit by a car on the road, and we didn't know. And he apparently came home to die because he was over there next to the garden one day, and by the time we saw him, he was already deceased. He had passed. So I buried him that day, but before I did, Malachi came over and I talked to him and was able to talk to him about death. which he had, already experienced that some because, we butcher animals here on the homestead sometimes for meat, and we had lost Chief, our goat, and had buried him there, which Malachi didn't do as well with that. But he seemed a lot better when we had the discussion about the cat, and that was the day before Gigi passed. So whenever she passed, I believe Malachi was the one that brought up the cat. And so he was connecting those dots of what death means. Now, do I think he fully understands? No. I anticipate in the future that Malachi will be saying, I want to go see Gigi, and, we'll have that conversation, and then it'll be like, at that point it'll be the realization that we won't get to visit with Gigi anymore. So, anyway, we appreciate prayers. Like I said, we're doing better than we were. Well, I say we, it's mostly me. I'm doing better than I was. And I could feel like a night and day kind of difference Thursday. So I feel once again very blessed that God has helped me through that heavy sorrow. And now I'm in the, just general mourning and learning how to deal with it. And so the visitors are here. Those are Justin's sister and our brother-in-law, because I'm going to be going over to Gigi's house to meet up with my parents and I think my uncle, and we're going to be cleaning and preparing the house for people coming over to eat a meal after Gigi's funeral next week. So anyway, I better get back to hanging up the rest of that laundry. I'm going to cheat and take small items like kiddo clothes over to Gigi's to wash and dry, because that'll be way easier and faster than hanging up each individual piece on the clothesline. I mean, I'm a homesteader, but I'm also a realist that if you have the opportunity to do things a little bit easier and to save a little bit of physical labor when it's appropriate, then go for it. But as a general rule, we prefer the clothesline just to go greener. But having said that, more and more I've been considering getting having us install a dryer in the house, because when we have such wet seasons, it sometimes is a week before we can hang out clothes on the line. And even when we do, oftentimes we have to bring them back into the house and put them out to dry even further using fans and such. So it's a lot of expenditure of our physical body energy to be able to dry clothes. But that's mostly for the winter time. In the summer, we don't have a problem because, we're in Texas. We might have a few rainy days, but then, like 2 or 3 days later, we should be able to hang clothes out on the line, no problem, and they'll dry in a day as long as we get them out early enough. So it's mostly winter time. So even if we do install a dryer, we will only be using it part of the time. Anyway, I've rambled enough. Thank y'all for listening. Hope y'all have a blessed day, and we'll see y'all next time here at Kooker. God bless.